All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to What's the Obsession. Channel name soon to be changed, but more news on that soon. So don't be surprised if you think you're coming here someday soon and there's a much different or slightly different name. And we know what that won't be. Thank you very much. Jody is cool. But welcome, guys. Really glad to have all of you here. Welcome. Hi, Utter. Hi, Edward. Hi, Rebecca Swift. How are you doing? And Gregory, I'm just going to say I had a couple people here and then we'll just get right into it. And American Princess, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome, Sunshine. How's it going? Thank you for updating people, moderators, and Utter. I just saw that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Who did I just pass by there? Saw Sunshine, American Princess. Oh, Nadrian Markowski. I hope I said that right. Howdy, how are you doing? Welcome. Nice to have you here. Welcome to the live stream, chat, and discussion. Hey, Dave BMX, how's it going? Hey, Jody is cool and Agape Love. Tony B, how's it going? Nice to see you. And I'm just going to go up a little more. Okay, and hello, StreamYard. You know what I think of you, StreamYard. You're amazing. Hey, No Chains No More. Hey, Melissa. Oh, is it Guerrera or I'm afraid I'm going to add an extra syllable there. Oh no, I'm so paranoid about how I say people's names these days, and I don't want to say your name wrong. So just go ahead and correct me. Hi, Invincible. How are you doing? Nice to see you as well. Hi, Joan. How's it going, sweetheart? Hey, Validation Boy. How are you doing? Nice to see you as well. And I hope I didn't miss anyone there. But all right, let's just get into it. Um, so welcome back to me. I took a couple weeks off of YouTube for a number of reasons. I've explained some of those reasons to some of you guys. I'm just kind of rethinking the channel, making sure that it serves its purpose of seeking truth and justice and not doing harm to victims or their families or anyone else. You know, I've always said if I ever feel like my YouTube channel is doing harm to other people, like I just can't handle that. So I just wanted to make sure I don't get to that point because I do think that I started to allow us to go a little too far into the realm of speculation. I know, much to your dismay, Validation Boy, but you got to stay with me in the fact-based reality here. Hi, guest chick. How are you doing? Hi, Miss Barbara. How are you doing? Welcome. And I also want to do some things with fundraising and some other initiatives. So that's all going to be rolled out pretty soon. But I've been communicating with, it started out as being one student from the University of Idaho. Since about 10 days after this tragedy occurred, it ended up being two guys. So I'm not sure if I've just shared this outwardly on the channel yet, but the two guys are and were in Ethan Chapin's fraternity, Sigma Chi. That's how I have some of the material from that fraternity. So the cat's out of the bag. Some of you probably put two and two together. Anyhow, they're not going to be coming on tonight. They're thinking that they might pretty soon, and I'm going to let them explain that to you in their own words, but not live in just a minute. So I don't want to speak too much for them. But here's what brought this live stream, and they're having the feeling that they need to speak out now. There was kind of a series of events that happened that made them feel like, all right, listen, man, like it's time, because things are just getting a little out of hand to the point where it's not productive. It doesn't feel comfortable for them. It feels extremely disrespectful to the victims who were their friends. They knew all of the victims personally. They called each of them their friend. Also, the two surviving roommates, same thing. We're going to learn a lot about the two surviving roommates from them as well. And we're also going to learn a little bit about who has been like leaking, with air quotes, information about this tragedy and, you know, the people involved, when really these leakers are liars. And they've proven that to me in definitive terms. And some of that is going to be shared with no reservation as well, because, you know, lying isn't cool, people. Seriously, though. But there's also this thing that just came out a few days ago. I think the first source I can trace it back to is Daily Mail picked it up, regarding Ethan Chapin's sister-in-law. So I didn't make any material on this because I've seen it around a few places. I was in the process of really verifying for certain that it's all accurate and authentic, and to the best of my knowledge, it is. I just haven't made a video about it. So I'm going to use a video from a channel from one of them that I'm not personally banning. I'm just going to be honest. I'm a little disgusted with a lot of the conjecture and even some channels that the lack of responsibility and the recklessness in the way that some people are discussing aspects of this case is really off-putting to me, and I will tell you more about that, but, this isn't gonna be Kelly's, like, bitch session, so we're not gonna, like, go there fully, but I'm happy to share because I have some pretty strong opinions, um, which I do not always, but alright, so let's just listen to this from the channel. It's one of them that I don't dislike at this point. Read Me the News is a channel, so everybody check out Read Me the News. It looks to be a rather new channel. Yeah, for sure. So let's support Read Me the News, unless I find a reason that we shouldn't, but I think we're good. All right, here we go.
Let's talk about the Idaho student murder case, and in particular, Dylan Mortensen. The spotlight has been brought back to Dylan, and this time the person asking questions on why Dylan Mortensen, one of the roommates of the four slain students, didn't call the police. This time, the sister in law of Ethan Chapin is asking the question, why did Dylan Mortensen not call the police?
Oops.
And the sister in law of Ethan Chapin drops some information that we have not heard yet.
Now, I think that most people can agree this is a fully legitimate question, even though I see, sides to this issue. I can't help it. The question still bothers me. And even though I do know, even since the last time I was live, I've learned a lot from these two students that I'm, not that they're not comfortable with fully disclosing to the whole world yet. Because let's face it, when you put it on YouTube, it feels like you're telling the whole world, and then you're responsible for that information, right? But even knowing some things that would be in support of it was totally innocent, that time lapse between when the assailant was seen and when 911 was called, even knowing some like mitigating details, I'm still not comfortable with that. I don't really know how anyone could be, unless there's something huge that nobody knows. I'm not saying anything nefarious about either of the surviving roommates. I'm just saying it's a completely legitimate question.
Information that has not been made public. We're going to get into it all. A family member of murdered University of Idaho student Ethan Chapin has questioned why the roommate who survived the slayings didn't call the police. Ethan Chapin's sister in law made several posts online. His sister in law has since revealed that Dylan, who was in the property at the time of the killings, along with Bethany Funk is the second surviving roommate, who was on the first floor. Dylan was on the second floor, and the murders occurred on the second and third floor of the house. The sister in law of Ethan Chapin is saying through online posts that Dylan called all of the other roommates in the house after she heard screaming and crying coming from their rooms. She attempted.
Now, I do want to say that those posts that are supposedly, allegedly authored by Ethan Chapin's sister in law, I spent a considerable amount of time and consulted some other people who are really good at vetting out sources and spotting and sniffing out, like something that's fishy. They do appear to be completely legitimate and authentic for what that's worth. I just want to throw that in there at this point.
To call them all. The sister in law of Ethan Chapin said on an online post, Dylan supposedly called all the girls in the house after the crying and screaming stopped and no one answered, and she still didn't call the police. Yes, I hope it will come out what Dee heard. Dee supposedly called all the girls in the house after the crying and screaming stopped and no one answered, and she still didn't call the police. She needs to explain herself and her actions that night. When questioned about who did call the police, she added that the 911 caller was a friend who went in because Dee called him to come over because she was scared from what she heard in the night. He went into Xana and Ethan's room first, then called 911. When D and B didn't call the police once is the question. Why D and B didn't call the police once is the question. D being Dylan, B being Bethany. The affidavit revealed that Mortensen came face to face with the quote, bushy eyebrowed killer, those were her words, but was spared along with the second surviving roommate on the first floor, Bethany Funk. Mortensen told the police that she heard several scuffles throughout the night and opened the door when she saw the suspect dressed in all black with a mask covering his face and heard one of her roommates say, "There's someone here." She also heard the suspect say, "It's okay, I'm here to help you," as he wandered the house committing the atrocity. Police confirmed that a 911 call was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates at 11:58 a.m., who requested help for an unconscious person, though it has not been confirmed who spoke with the police. It has raised the question of why Mortensen didn't contact authorities sooner, with some arguing that she may have been frozen by fear. The roommate did not contact authorities for 6 hours, despite hearing several of her roommates in distress as well as witnessing the killer. Mortensen told cops that she was awoken around 4 a.m. by what sounded like victim Kaylee Goncalves playing with her dog in a third floor bedroom. She said she looked out of her room but didn't see anything, looking again on the second occasion when she thought Xana Kernadle was crying. Mortensen stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking toward her. After the man moved toward her, she said that she remained in a frozen shock phase as he continued past her but let her survive. The online discussion also dissected where the bodies were found, with the relative adding that both Xana and Ethan were found in her room. So if you've been following this channel, you know that when I went over the affidavit that was released, we talked about Dylan Mortensen, and I asked the question, why was she not calling the police for 6 hours? And 6 hours is the minimum estimate. We're talking it could have been as much as 8 hours after these killings occurred. She did not call the police. She didn't call for help. Instead, we're finding out through Ethan Chapin's sister-in-law that she called the other roommates in the house, none of whom answered, and then Dylan proceeded to call other friends outside of the house who came to the house at a later time. Why is Dylan not being questioned on this? Why did she not call the police?
Well, I just do have to say, we don't know that Dylan is not being questioned on this. You know, that is an assumption that many are making. We are not privy to like anything like that, right? Please don't have to tell us that, as well as a lot of other information that I've noticed people seem to feel that we somehow have a right to. But we don't have a right to a lot of information, we being members of the public. We'll talk about that a little more in a bit here.
Police. Who could have been saved if she would have called the police when she heard the murders happening at 4 a.m.? Could some of the students been saved that night? Leave your comment down below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay, so again, that channel was, looks like a new channel, and it is, let's see. Sorry, it was read me the news. Cool. Okay, I think he did a good job. So I'm going to subscribe. I'm going to do it right now. Everybody come along. Thank you, sir, for allowing me to use that 6-minute video without your permission. Thank you for the grace I know you will be giving me when you see this. Okay. So, plenty of people use clips of my stuff. Oh my God. Hey, Sweet Pickles, thank you very much. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, Kathy Baker, I agree. This trial will be something else. Joan Bradley, thanks, Kathy. I worry she won't be okay on the stand. She's going to be very difficult on the stand. And I'll tell you exactly why after we listen to some more of the prepared material, including the information from the 2 University of Idaho students, Ethan Chapin's fraternity brothers, who finally feel compelled to speak out. And I promise you, you're going to learn exactly why that day is like today in just a moment. But again, I used as many quotes from them as possible. I mean, it's actually mostly quotes, and I do not want to speak incorrectly for them because I respect the position that they're in and what they've shared and what they feel they need to do. Okay. If anyone blue raised arms, body, blue raised arms. You're so funny, Rebecca Swift. I'm always trying to figure out your comments here. I'd like to know if anyone could be saved. Oh, yes. Saved if 911 was called immediately. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's the big question to me for sure. Yeah, I think that is the big question, right? Oh gosh. I heard from what I believe to be a rather reliable source that could have possibly been the case for one of the victims. I say that telling you that I, of course, don't know that for sure. I do find it to be a reliable source. I would need to know more about that to say that on my channel with any degree of certainty, but that's a hard thing to think about, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, a really hard thing to think about. Oh my God. Yeah. Gosh. Okay. So now, and again, I'm trying to not say too much because I don't want to put words in the mouths of the 2 students who do want to address the world, so to speak, or whoever's listening in their own words. And I think part of the reason that they trust speaking with me is they believe that I want them to be able to do that because I do want them to be able to do that. So, just trying to respect that agreement. And where is the video I need to upload for you now? Oh, hey, Joan, you asked a question. You said, could you explain about the informant? So I don't think there's anything real about an informant. If you could clarify that question, I've heard a few different things having to do with, possible informants. None of them that I'm holding on to. But it's possible there's something more legitimate out there that I'm just not aware of. That's certainly always a possibility. So let me know what you think. Here, let me get that video ready for you guys. Oh, I think it's ready. And then Brian Hoffman, I saw that you were saying that you feel that the probable cause affidavit is a mess. And I think I can, surmise why some people are saying that. I don't see it that way. And, you're probably not sick of hearing me say this because I haven't done a live stream in a couple weeks, but maybe we're getting sick of hearing me say that we must remember that the sole purpose of the probable cause affidavit is to trigger that judge to sign the warrant for the apprehension of the assailant so they do not do harm to anyone else. And so the process of justice can begin. So in understanding that is the sole purpose of the PCA, I don't find the PCA to be weak. If it was yeah, this is the whole bowl of cherries, this is the discovery, that would be extremely alarming, right? So, okay, so it's bad. Why? Can you give me an example? I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt, but I'm really interested in knowing, what you're thinking along those lines. What do you think it all relates to? Oh, I'm gonna say his wrong name too. That neighbor, is that who you're talking about, Brian? Enon, am I saying that right? Let's see. Okay, I guess bored tonight. Let's see. Just want to catch a couple of these comments, and then we're gonna move on. Hi, Sunshine. How are ya? Hopefully, we can provide some lack or absence of boredom. Oh, okay, I got it. So that they're talking about the suspect's car fleeing the scene, going east on a road that only goes north and south. I was kind of taking up this conversation in some comments to a video I posted earlier today, but it was in regards to King Road also being called Queen Road, and nobody really bothering to make the observation that this is inconsistent in not only videos and material about this contemporary case, but also in official county and city and county clerk records. I did look into that a while back because I did notice it. But what I found was there was just a Queen Road. Yeah, I think I'm getting this the right way. Queen Road was first. And then it was due to just some more student housing going up in that little kind of subdivision neighborhood where, the victims lived at 1122 King Road, which was their address, unless you consult the county clerk. And then that's, nobody really bothered to sort it out within the county or the city of Moscow. And I can imagine how that happened. So I believe that it is a similar situation with the north-south running roads that are sometimes referred to as going east, because they kind of do go east, but I don't want to get too hung up on that. So, but I understand what you're saying, that it's a little frustrating, right? So, all right. So let me get this video loaded up for you. It's right here, finally. Okay, good. Now, I didn't do like anything super fancy with the video because the most important thing I think is to focus on the audio. But I mean, there are some videos that go along with the audio. I just didn't match them up as closely as I usually try to do. And sometimes I fail at doing that, but I usually try. So I just really want you to hear what needs to be said here. As some commenters on my channel's videos remind me of all the time, I am definitely an imperfect person. I know, I get it.
The roommate doesn't report it until noon. Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Yes.
So close to
what
the
the
noon
heck
hour.
happened from 4 a.m. when this person dressed in all black walks out and she is, what is the quote? She is shocked. Frozen in shock.
Frozen shock phase. Page 4.
And then she went to bed, or like what happened?
That's the number one. That's the number one question on social right now too. People are just demanding, and there's both sides. There's both.
Now this is a defense attorney that's reacting like this. Like, what the heck happened then, man? What you do? Just go to bed. This is a well-experienced veteran defense attorney who's just having a response. We're just seeing an initial response from him, and this is what it is.
Both sides of it, and that did happen. It did take a very long time to get it reported. But there's all kinds of ideas in that people will process shock differently. And maybe she went in there, she was shocked, and that was that. Maybe she was drunk. Maybe she was on drugs. Maybe she's on illicit drugs and thought, if the cops come here, I'm in trouble. There are so many factors and so many. Yeah, I mean But yeah, when you even if you're drunk and you suspect something is wrong, even if you have that moment and you freeze. And we talked about this earlier, the spidey sense saying, hey, this isn't right. This person shouldn't be in my house. Most people would probably go in the bedroom and call 911 because they'd be terrified. Who is this person? So you can see both sides of it. And it's a very tough question to try to answer.
Mm-hmm.
From a legal side and cross-examining this witness, that would be the question. So were you drunk? Were you high? Were you doing something illegal at the time? Because we need to know why you didn't call the law enforcement. So if the answer is yes to any of those questions, now we call into credibility what she actually saw.
But there are still many unanswered questions. Why did the surviving roommates wait almost 8 hours after the murders to call 911?
There are very legitimate questions regarding the University of Idaho tragedy and what is going on in that case right now. What happened on the night of the tragedy and even before that? We're going to get to those questions, and we're going to get to those questions in this video. And this video is also going to provide some answers from two University of Idaho students that I've been corresponding with since about 10 days after this tragedy occurred. They have a lot of insight into many of the issues the true crime community is talking about and speculating about. At this point, we have vetted one another thoroughly, and these guys are getting to the point where they are ready to speak out. So I'm hoping that's going to happen within the next week, and it should be very enlightening to say the least. Now, if you're wondering why they haven't spoken out yet, or why they haven't spoken out on this channel with their own voices, that's a totally legitimate question, and I'm going to tell you what the answer is. According to them, for them, because they are not under an official gag order, but they are part of an organization and a larger community and several smaller communities in which there is what they describe as being a gentleman's agreement at times, and at other times there might be a more formal agreement, say with the organization that they're part of, who is asked. So you guys catching that? So what I'm saying there is these two students who I've been talking to for over 2 months now, they have not, and this has been discussed pretty much all along, and it's evolved, of course, as time has gone on. So, the organization I'm talking about is Sigma Chi. So that's just, I think, obvious to anybody who's been watching this channel. So I'm not going to talk to you guys like you're golden retrievers and you can't make that like logical, jump. So there's been either perhaps with a Greek organization like theirs, there are some formal agreements where the members of the organization or community, whatever it is, if it can be formalized in some way, and there can actually be sanctions, there are formal agreements like mini gag orders, a bunch of like demographic specific gag orders, so to speak, that aren't court imposed. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. But then even beyond those formal agreements that some people are compelled into entering, like a fraternity member would be, there's an unspoken agreement among the university community, as it's been described to me. It's been described to me by people other than these two, but I do believe that this exists there. People describe it very strongly, and I really feel it when they describe it, where, the students and the faculty and the people that just live in Moscow, the whole community, they just know that they're not going to be going onto a YouTube channel and talking about whatever. They know that they're not going to be contacting media sources. They know that they are going to be saying no comment, most likely, when media sources contact them, unless it's like a really organized effort, like a Dateline or something, in which case the people who have appeared on those media sources have, gotten together and made a game plan as to what they are going to talk about and what they are not going to talk about, with a couple, people going a little bit rogue. But considering we're talking about like 25,000 people, they've been incredibly united in their community agreement, their social contract among themselves, to just be respectful of the process, to be respectful of the victims' families, and allow this to play out without them interjecting. And I'm sure that can be extremely frustrating at times for anyone. And for the personality types that are like the know-it-alls, it probably eats them alive most nights, right? So, okay, there we are. Asked the members to not speak out on any YouTube channels or to the media or on any podcast until they hear otherwise, or I guess in some cases it's been left indefinitely, out of respect for the victims, for the University of Idaho, for their community, and for the sake of and process of justice. Now, they have commented that within the community, the University of Idaho community, there is a camaraderie amongst everybody by virtue of every person there being some part of a gentleman's or a ladies' agreement or a more formal agreement where they're all agreeing that they're going to just not be talking. They're not going to be part of the speculation. They're not going to be feeding the media, feeding the gossip, feeding the talk that may or may not be true. And in that silence among all of them, they describe there being an immense bond that is very calming and healing, and it's holding a lot of them together as individuals. However, these two guys and also other people in their community have been listening to podcasts or watching YouTube or reading articles or just hearing things through the rumor mill lately where people are becoming a little upset at what is being said. It's a level of speculation. Sis and Kathy, I just have to say amen to that for sure. And the topics on which the speculation is focused, which is causing these two guys and some other people, according to them, to want to speak out to support their school, their community, the victims, and their families. So they have to get together and talk things over. And apparently, this is happening in sub-communities all over the University of Idaho campus and area right now, according to these two guys. So that leads us right into the first topic for this video, which is the supposed 10 a.m. phone call that was made on the morning of November 13th, 2 hours before the 911 call was made, that, among other things, alerted people to the tragedy that had occurred in the house. If you're following this case. Now, I want to be clear on that. So what we're talking about here is a supposed, supposedly a bunch of students, several students, a bunch of students, a ton of students, a whole gaggle of students knew about the tragic fates of the victims long before the 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m. And we're talking like hours before that call was made. Now, I haven't mentioned it yet, but one of the big proponents and propagators of this narrative is a woman named Kim, who I'm going to get right when I explain it here, but I'm going to put a bookmark there. I'm going to get back to that. I just want to make sure you guys are clear on what is being discussed here. And if you're not, please ask questions, because the whole point of relaying this information to the world, it's a big deal to these guys. And I want to make sure that I'm getting their message out there as clearly as is possible while still not being an asshole about the level of details that they share. That's how they feel about it. They don't want to be assholes by sharing way too much. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, please ask questions. Case at all, you may have heard in the past week or maybe even 2 weeks that people on that campus apparently knew about this tragedy and knew about the fatalities even earlier in the morning, much earlier than 11:58 a.m. when the official 911 call was made. Apparently, there is a person named Kim who several channels have cited, and it's my understanding that several channels have spoken to this person. I don't know all of the channels who have spoken about her or who are standing by this story. I truly don't know, and I'm not concerned about it. What I have to say in this video has nothing to do with other channels specifically, so I just want to put that out there. These two guys, or even that person specifically or personally, I again am relaying a message that these two people feel extremely strongly about, and in their passion for what they're saying, I definitely believe what they're saying. The University of Idaho campus say that this Kim person is not for realza, is fake, as in not even part of the University of Idaho family, so to speak, or maybe this person is part of that family or community or is related to it somehow, but what she's telling YouTube creators is fault. These guys are very connected to, it seems like, hey, Hot Ham Radio, and happy birthday. Sorry. It sounds like almost everybody on that campus, and they say absolutely positively no way were people learning about this tragedy before noon on Sunday, with the exception of the people that were summoned over to the house. So there is a handful of people, as they've described, that were summoned to the house, as Chief James Fry had told us, and that apparently is accurate. And they were sort of learning things. The people that were summoned to the house were learning things as they were unfolding along with the roommates. I think that version of events is just like what most people originally envisioned. And this story about there being calls going out earlier in the morning that alerted people to the fatalities, that is completely false. And they say that they know that 100% through and through. That's fact. And they told me to speak about this on the channel. They feel strongly that that is known. Now, they did say that, again, people were summoned to the house, that those people were of, males and females. It wasn't just males. Some people are saying, oh, it's just males. And then now some people are saying, oh, it was all females. It was all the sorority sisters. Apparently it was a combination of both guys and gals. And they plan on disclosing more about that. So I don't know if, Joseph, what you're saying, all this has been revealed by others. We know that she called friends first, etc. Yes, she did call friends first, etc. But I mean, that's not what I'm trying to say is like, a big deal. We do know that some degree of that did happen. The point here so far at this point, and what I'm very carefully trying to explain, is that it wasn't hours and hours earlier prior to the 911 call, as some people are trying to make a big, like, clicky news deal out of. Does that make sense? So I think that, that's not like a nuanced difference in what you and I think are saying. I think that's like a really important distinction to make. I think it's also really important to just acknowledge and observe, and, something that we can all agree on is there are people out there who are intentionally, this always happens, but I believe on a much larger scale than is normal, that are intentionally creating and spreading bullshit, lies, fabrications, falsehoods, scams, fraudulent content for whatever reason. And let's not lose our sense of sensibility here and just get swept with every wave of, fabricated content that comes along. Because come on, I don't know. People, like, you guys are smarter than that. I'm smarter than that. Like, let's just not do that. A lot of people are doing that. We're doing that, guys. We got put on the brakes. Okay. Or else we got to go where the waves aren't like quite so strong. We got to stay in like the water we can handle. I'm kind of trying to be funny, even though there's nothing funny about this case, but I'm suggesting that some of us need to reel it in. Pretty soon, but specifically here, they want to get permission from Hunter Chapin, Ethan's brother, before they speak on this issue, and they want to give him an opportunity to speak about it first if he wants to do it that way. And that is, of course, in addition to getting the blessings of their organization and the community with whom they have those so-called gentlemen's agreements also. One thing that is crystal clear to me is that these guys, and it sounds like the students on this campus, absolutely want to make sure that they don't do anything that might put justice at risk. I think the way they're going about things is very classy. Kudos to them, and I feel honored to tell you about this. So that brings us to the next topic of this video that these guys have something to say about, and they want you to know about it. And I have some additional things that I want to discuss about this topic here as well that I think are extremely important. So apparently the person, Kim, who spoke with some YouTube channel creators, claimed that the reason that the 911 call wasn't made until almost noon, and there was that 8-hour gap between when roommate Dylan saw Brian Koberger, the suspect, and when 911 was called, was they wanted to hide stuff. They wanted to hide substances that were all over that house because, according to this person, Kim, and apparently her sources, this house was a huge substance house, and the two surviving roommates were terrified that the investigators, the authorities were going to come in, they were going to get in trouble, that they were going to get busted because of the copious amounts of substance that were hanging around that house. And apparently, according to Kim, everybody, including her daughter, who, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned, is supposedly a University of Idaho student. According to Kim, everybody knew exactly what that house was known for, what was going on there currently, and it had a rather notorious and raging reputation, a big time reputation. Therefore, if the surviving roommates called 911 too soon before they took care of things and did some cleanup, there was a lot at stake, like major possible consequences, possible major charges they could be looking at, according to Kim. So here's what our friends had to say about that. While they did not deny. Now, I don't know if it's just this person named Kim, by the way. And again, it's nothing personal against her or any channel that has, been featuring this content. It's like nothing like that at all. It truly is not. I feel it's important that the record is set straight. These students who are friends with Ethan and all of the other victims feel obviously much stronger that the record is set straight. And there are some pretty stunning reveals coming up here soon as well. I think we need to kind of flatten out the rocky playing field that we've created by running out on the playing field before, it was ready for play because we were so excited for the season. Validation boy, I see you. Get your ass back here, validation boy, in the dugout, okay? Sit down, validation boy. So we've just kind of got to smooth all that over so then we can move forward being fact-based, the world I like to live in. The 1122 King Road has historically been known to be a party house that has that kind of thing going on with pretty much every manifestation of the lease signing. With this iteration of the residence, what was going on there was limited. At this point in our conversation, the two guys introduced me to their friend. Okay, hold it, because this next part's important, but I want to address this. So, Protected Heart, hi, how are you doing? So, says Kim showed her phone records to the FBI. So, I've done a lot of research on this, I'm always like, when I'm like looking into something, I'm always initially trying to validate it because I think that's just the best way to get to the truth. If you set out trying to disprove something or someone, you're going to do it. Like you're going to find a way, So I always just, if I can't set out like with the mindset that I'm trying to validate something, I don't do it. I ask someone else to do it, or I just leave it alone because it's not the way to approach it, in my opinion. But, so I looked into that and I ran across that information you're sharing. And the way I feel about it is unless I saw the reports from the FBI stating that happened, and this is the contents of what was shared with them, and through their analysis and evaluation, they can say that what was shared with them backs up the stories that have been told. Then it kind of, I don't know how else to say it other than it doesn't mean too much to me. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it. I don't know. But if you know more, let me know because I am not all knowing. That's for sure. Hi, Ellie. How are you doing? And hi, Midge. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. So now, what I'm trying to get at here, and I know it's a lot of words because again, there were certain phrases, quotes, things that I made an agreement I was going to say. And that's just how it is. So now I'm just trying to tongue in cheek say that these two University of Idaho students who are in Ethan Chapin's fraternity, who know him very, very well and know all the people that live there currently, the victims and the surviving roommates very well, and spent a lot of time there at parties, doing whatever, hanging out, being involved in whatever the residents of 1122 King Road were involved in. You know, they said that it is absolutely not this like crazy, like, serious business, like high revenue, high revenue earning party house that is like that's like selling a whole bunch of drugs like heroin and crack and cocaine. That's like, it's not like that, like some people and channels and theories are trying to make it out to be. Now, it was really important to me to get to the bottom of that because I felt like it really could have gone any other way. I saw a lot of very crazy things in college, living in a house very much just like these people lived in, right? So I wasn't going to not believe anything. But basically, what it came down to was there were secrets in that house. There were things to hide. There were things going on in that house that the roommates would have had a very vested and urgent interest in shielding from the police, essentially. And well, let's just listen to what I recorded here because I'm hesitant on saying too much. Molly, who told Molly, so everyone knows what Molly is, right? So if you don't, go to like Urban Dictionary and look her up. That the people who lived in the house at this time really were just all about having fun, and they were very serious about their studies and their futures and their lives and their relationships. But not unlike college students anywhere and everywhere, they liked to have fun, and they were aware that there were ways that one could enhance their fun, particularly if you were. Wait, I just want to read this because so Susie Q says you really don't have to keep going over and over about how you are protecting the privacy. I've said it like 5 times already in 15 minutes. We're not children, and like everybody gets it. So I definitely don't, I'm not trying to talk to you like you're children, but this is a little, I'm not sure how to go about presenting this information. And I know the hesitancy these two people have. And I just also know that I take seriously the responsibility that I feel I've accepted and that I have to, at this point, like relaying their truth, which I know they're going to be doing in their own voices very soon, one way or another, because I think that they have to. So it's not that I'm trying to treat you like a golden retriever. It's just that I get, you know, like I'm an amateur, seriously. I'm a true crime YouTuber, okay? I have a day job, like a really serious one. So I'm just doing my best here, okay? A carefree college student who had limited inhibitions. Their friend Molly was telling me about, you know, it isn't really all so sinister. It's all about their own personal fun and the fun of their friends around them. It's not about making a lot of money. It's not about mass distributing through the western corridor of the United States and up into Canada and down into Mexico. And no. Molly told me it was not like that at all. It was just about chilling and having fun amongst themselves for them. I have to make a correction to this though, because I did record this. I don't know, I think probably into last week at this point. It was a little more serious than just chilling and having fun. Like I said, there were things going on in that house that these two people feel 100,000 million% certain were things that the people who live there had an extremely urgent interest in shielding from law enforcement. So what I'm saying in this recorded audio doesn't exactly hit that on the nose. Themselves and among their friends talking about. So many rumors have been flying around about this residence and the victims and people at that university, and so many people are speculating about things that are clearly, in my opinion, and in the opinion of these two guys, so super far from the realm of reality here on planet Earth. Let's get really, really clear on fact versus fiction, okay? So here's some fiction. Yeah. Oh, yes. And then I just stopped recording because I was like, I don't even know if I want to go into this one. Okay. So hold it because I can tell you more, but I just didn't record it. Oh, boy. Let me see if you guys have any questions so far. So I know, and I hear you. I see Randy and Protected Heart saying that a channel did the vetting on the person that I had mentioned. And again, it's nothing personal about that channel or about her. I think these two guys feel like it might be a little personal. They're like, I just don't like that people would be making things up or spreading like false anything about something this serious, because like for me, the end goal is justice. And I think it is for most people here too, at least to some degree. And I just think that's disgusting. But these guys see it in a much different way. It's very personal to them, and they are not even a shade short of absolutely fucking livid about it. So, you know, and I don't blame them. But anyway, so Randy and Protected Heart were saying that, you know, the other channel vetted and she's legitimate. And, you know, I definitely don't want to get in debate like that. That's going to be disrespectful to another channel or to her, because again, it's nothing personal, but I did familiarize myself with the vetting that had been done to say that the stories this person is telling. Oh, thank you, Keschik. I appreciate that. YouTube creators is legitimate. I guess, I don't know. I'm just, my bar for vetting someone is a lot higher. So to me, I wouldn't call it thorough vetting. I feel like sound like I'm being like a jerk saying that, but I mean, I don't know how else to say it. So, you know, and I appreciate you guys saying that. But yeah, I don't know how else to handle that. Let's see. Yes. Yes, totally. Protected Heart. Exactly. Let's see. Relate to this tragedy. Is insulting, yes. However, the nonsense, there's no serious. No. I didn't say that there was no serious, this kind of activity going on, Brian. I just actually stopped and corrected myself to say that it was pretty serious, and it was definitely worth a lot to them to hide things that were going on from law enforcement. They felt they had a lot of risk, and in more objective opinions of others close to them, everyone in that house, they agreed that they were putting too much at risk. But, you know, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I definitely put too much at risk when I was their age as well. And I'm just lucky that, you know, that poor risk assessment ended up landing my favor. So let's see. Yeah. Totally. Protected Heart. Yeah, I agree with that. Hi, Caleb Lee. How are you doing? Let's see. This is interesting. Carol says, it seems you would call ASAP to protect yourself and the other roommate, thinking that the killer might return. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a thought I've returned to time and time again. I don't think I make a point of discussing it specifically, but I think it is worth discussing. So this is where I always go in my thought process when I start thinking down that road, Carol. So glad you brought that up. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel that whatever her response was, you know, like I made that video with the five F's, the 5 reactions that human beings will tend to have to trauma, threat, or intense fear, like the kind that threatens your life. from a psychological perspective, and all those reactions begin with F. That's why it's the 5 Fs. And even understanding that, and that all of those Fs are, protection mechanisms for us to protect our own lives. To not call the authorities who, when you're faced with that much fear that, an assailant like of that type is in your home, is in your private, is in your fucking home, was right outside your bedroom door. Okay. So let's just remove the possibility of being under the influence of some strong substances for a moment, because I'm not really sure how to account for that in this equation. But if you don't, jump right to self-preservation, which, as we know, is our strongest instinct. It dictates everything else. The whole purpose of being alive as a human being or a mammal or an animal at all is to remain alive. There's this whole thing. Well, I'm not going to say that because some people might not get the sarcasm, and I'm not trying to talk to anyone like they're stupid, because you guys are usually much smarter than me, and you should all know that. I think that. So what was it that they were so afraid of, or that they were so afraid of the consequences if they didn't handle the situation correctly, where it trumped their, overwhelming need to do whatever was necessary when faced with that kind of a threat to protect their own lives, which always trumps everything. Does that make sense? I can't figure it out. That I just feel like there is a piece of information that has to be missing, because things don't make sense when you lay out the cards, anyway, unless you account for a really big piece of information being missing. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, right. Yeah. So Carol says, even if high, would you not leave for fear that the killer may return? I would be terrified and in shock, but afraid enough to call for help for safety. I 100% agree with you. That, thought process right there that you're verbalizing is like the biggest obstacle I run into when I try to think this out logically or any other way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Double R, how are you? Yeah, I should take a couple weeks off. I've got other things going on. I got that job and career and family and stuff. And sometimes I just need a break from true crime also. And also, I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes things with these guys. Yeah. Right. Okay. So then we go to this. Yeah. So Protected Heart says, cleaning up the house and getting rid of whatever stash might be there with 4 deceased people in it. You are not in shock, obviously. Right. So, okay. So you bring up another good point, Protected Heart. So any way you play out a possible scenario, given what we do know, there are pieces of information that are necessary to, like the plot of the story, that are simply not congruent, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Macrotis J and Caleb Lee. What were you guys talking about there? Let's see. Anyone please be kind and fill me in. Oh gosh. Oh. I'm just talking about some information that I got from those 2 University of Idaho students who are Sigma Chi members, who I've been talking to for over 2 months now, who are morally, ethically, and emotionally extremely opposed to the level of speculation and what they feel is irresponsible conjecture, and what they also feel, and I agree, is intentional creation of and lies and spreading of lies for whatever purpose, clicks, views, 15 minutes of fame, trying to fill some void in your life that you're never going to understand and no one else is either. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't want to speculate about why people do like gross things like that, but yeah. And Kim Ott says, how can you be frozen in shock but open your door 3 times? Basically, her door was open almost the whole time if she opened it 3 times in less than 15 minutes. Yeah, that is another one of those big incongruencies with the, fundamental pieces of the story. Oh, thank you very much. Brandy's, let's see. Oh, muscadine wine, time and true crime. What a divine channel name. That's exactly why I love your heart and channel, Kelly. Thank you so much. The facts are what count, and the facts are the only way these beautiful young lives and their families will get the deserved justice. Exactly. 100%, a million times over. Thank you for saying that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So all this honor and silence. Let's see. Caleb Lee says, so all this honor and silence will hurt this case? Can you clarify that? Let's see. Yeah, McCrotis J says, according to the employment documents, Koberger was fired for being bad to women or something. Not sure if it's legit or not. Yes, he was in fact relieved of his responsibilities at the university, as far as being, I don't know if it would be field experience or if it was like more of like an actual job employment outside of field experience, due to the fact that he was a doctoral student. My understanding is the most detail that I really was able to put stock in was it was due to a whole assortment of erratic and therefore unprofessional and concerning behaviors that seemed to increase in intensity and frequency, as time passed, getting closer to the day of this tragedy. And then, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and this is a very good point too. So just getting by solo says when you are under the influence and something tragically happens, you sober up fast, your adrenaline goes into overdrive. And that is, typically almost always what does happen, unless you're like, 85 sheets to the wind, and then you're in all kinds of other trouble. And that obviously was not the case. So Validation Boy says, what's the obsession? Did Ethan perhaps pocket a large bounty from wherever he and Xana were for those hours? Did someone come to retrieve the bounty and decided to make it a statement out of it? I guess it's in the realm of all possibilities, but I meet your determination to make this horrible tragedy into an issue about a drug sale. But I just truly, in my heart of hearts, and when I follow the evidence that is available, I don't go there. I as strongly stand against that idea. Still love you, Validation Boy. I just don't, I don't see anything that indicates that is reality. Oh my God. Double R, stop. I've ignored everybody. I've disappeared from everything over the past couple weeks. I've have it's not personal. Let's see. Honestly, like running this channel, it's not like a violin or anything. It takes nearly as much time as like a full-time job. And I have a full-time job, full-blown career that requires way more than 40 hours of work in a week. And I'm a single mom, and I got all my 5,000 million bunnies and stuff. Every now and then, I can't balance it all. And Agape Love says maybe BF was tripping and hiding under the covers downstairs. Maybe, or maybe she was just sleeping, but maybe she was tripping. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand this either. Just getting by solo. I mean, I don't think it could exactly be like that, because I don't think that most human beings would be capable of that in the way you kind of describe it. I don't know. Grocery shopping and voice texting. That's awesome. Oh, Brian, come on. Let's bring it down a shade or two. We have no congruency as an overstatement. But I understand, though. I understand that you're seeing a lot of things that don't line up. I get it. It's alarming and frustrating. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, probable cause affidavit is for the sole purpose of obtaining a warrant to get the threat off the streets and to start the process of justice. Hi, Rosie. How are you doing? Oh, aw, you too. So glad you're here. Welcome. Screen part 7. Oh, Jesus. Oh. And they completely demolished the crime scene. Who did? See, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. From the information that I find to be reliable, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Let's see. Miss Kelly, is that not a legal definition of obstruction? Uh-oh. I'm sorry. What was a legal definition of obstruction? Did I just say it? Or is it demolishing the crime scene? Let's see. So how did she go to the bathroom and not see Ethan? Well, I mean, that is a question, but I mean, do you think she used the bathroom that was tucked inside of Xana's bedroom when Xana had her boyfriend spending the night? Or do you think she would have used one of the other facilities in the house since there were a total of 3? I think I probably would have picked another bathroom, but maybe not. Let's see. Oh God. Yeah, Randy says the one question I'd ask DM is if Xana was still crying after the guy left. I mean, yeah, that's like a kind of ruthless question. That probably would be one of the best questions an attorney could pick for her because she's going to be demolished from both directions on the stand. I don't know if she's going to be she's going to be easily impeachable, and I don't know. She's going to have that. I don't know. This is something that's like a little hard to deal with, and that, I was talking about with the people that, are far more emotionally invested for their connection to and love for the actual victims, the human beings, who were sent. There's not even words, right? We know what happened. So, something that's a little hard for people, and I think all of us, but I know and can imagine even more so people that were really close to the victims, is that the one witness that we know actually saw a dude, came face to face with him, and had all this shocking interaction and description and, level of, taking his presence in, his appearance, his demeanor, his timing, his voice, all these things. That one person, for some reason that none of us know, because I think this is the big missing piece of information. Something is missing here where we don't have the whole story. For some reason, is going to be like as useful as a wet paper towel on the stand in trial for some reason that we don't understand. And since this crime was so egregious, and she was, as far as we know, the one person who did have all of that contact and interaction with him, what could it be that is still making her seem like she's going to be as useful as a wet paper towel on the stand? Does that make sense? I don't even know the question to ask because I don't know. Oh, okay. By hiding the stash, you're contaminating the crime scene. Well, yeah, by hiding the stash, you're changing the nature of the crime scene and possibly hiding up some ancillary crimes, but I don't know if you're necessarily really going to be messing with the primary crime. I don't know. Maybe you would be. I mean, that could go. That's getting a little into speculation, isn't it? So let's see. My question is, why was that door downstairs wide open in the morning? Is that true? I can't remember if that's true or if that's a not true fact. Oh my God, there's so many. Let's see. Oh, thank you. No chains, no more. Okay, gotcha, double R. Tripping by herself, no. Come on, there's got to be people in here that have tripped by themselves. Let's see. Oh, I know. Randy says, I stubbed my toe this morning and screamed the F word, as I do every time I stub my toe, loudly, no matter who's around. I can't imagine how loudly I might scream if I was being stabbed. I mean, seriously, though. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do believe this to be true. Shockingly, when I start really trying to dive into this, I can't find too much information about it, and information that was out there, articles that didn't say law enforcement lost the suspect for 14 hours, but had information that might help you to, put together some things that are going to, lead you to say, okay, I've seen enough. Yeah, that did happen. I feel like some of that's missing now from the collection of information we have access to digitally on the World Wide Web. Apparently that did happen, and I can't even begin to try to understand that. So what we're talking about is apparently law enforcement did lose Koberger as he transversed across the country with his papa in the car and his white Hyundai Elantra for something like 14 hours, a stupid amount of time. Wow. I mean, listen, okay, using GPS technology, you can track anything with a GPS chip in it in the entire span of the surface of the globe, and even down in towards the very core of the earth itself, within 300 feet of accuracy and about 3.5 minutes of error. How did they lose track of an entire person and an entire car with half of his parental unit who had just murdered 4 college students? That boggles the mind. Let's see. Okay, so then there's more things I wanted. Let's see. Second floor shared bathroom. Yeah, so second floor shared bathroom, I get, but like the way the bathroom is, I don't know. Yeah. So maybe she wouldn't have been able to go to the bathroom. I don't know. I mean, if she was that scared, she could have peed herself. I mean, I'm not trying to be like, that's not funny. Or if she was that scared, she may have found a way to like deal with having to relieve herself in another way. But I think what we're kind of saying here is there are indications that don't point to the typical indicators of like mortal fear. Yeah, so yeah, I misspoke. It's not like it's. I don't know. I feel like the bathroom on the second floor very much belongs to Xana's room, as opposed to being like the second floor bathroom. But I don't know. I'm not sure how all that having to pee stuff was handled. Oh my God. Let's see. Now something that I did want to mention that was important to the people who gave me this information. It was important that this is said, is a couple things. First of all, apparently, according to the people that know her well, surviving roommate DM is misunderstood. And I get it. My initial reaction to her, I'll be honest, was, like she's that girl that a lot of people are reacting to her as being. Like the one that you don't like, the one, I don't know. I quickly realized that was not rational, and I don't know her at all. And I had no reason to think that about her. And I reasoned myself out of it, but a lot of people are still kind of running with that stereotype. Apparently she is one of the sweetest people that you could ever meet. This is like the sweetest, like nicest kind of most, what it was said here, most docile. Doesn't that sound like you're describing an animal? But that's what I wrote down. But is just like very nice and mild mannered, and if anything, maybe a little like insecure. And it's understood why she, just from looking at pictures or something, when the girls are all dressed up to go out and they're wearing the sexy clothes and all that by appearance she might look like something different than that. But the people that know her swear that is the furthest thing from the truth, highlighting that does not mean that she is an angel and that she doesn't do anything wrong, or she doesn't get herself into bad situations sometimes, which we'll talk a little more about in like the upcoming days. But that she's not that girl. She's a very sweet girl. If anything, she was just trying to like get her ground because she maybe didn't feel like she was worthy of, being roommates with those other girls. Like she was, she's a young girl. She's just learning to find her own value and how valuable she is, and that's something that a lot of young people experience. So, and of anybody that actually has even ever met her, and it's not like I've talked to a ton of people that have met her, but I've talked to a few, or heard from a few at least, or just gotten, kind of the votes of a few. I haven't heard anything other than that. Oh yeah, absolutely. Open trial for sure. Absolutely. Yep, I think so. Yes. I personally prefer that over anything, always. Um, yeah, so Sassy Simo says, did anyone watch the doc that Gonsalves family did? Christy said her niece called her about 11 a.m. screaming and freaking out. Kelly was deceased and the police didn't pull up until after 4. So I actually didn't watch that whole documentary, but I did hear her talk about that on 2 other occasions, one in far more detail than the other. And I can post the interview on the channel if you want me to. And what I very specifically recall her saying, because I was going to like use her saying that to deconstruct the whole timeline when I was trying to do that, was that her niece called sometime between 11 and 12, and that the police did not show up until 4 their time. They were watching a football game. So, and now the second time I heard her tell that story again, the time frame was a little off, not in the favor of students hearing about it much earlier in the morning, by the way. But I think the point she was making, that she was really focused on relaying, was the passage of time between when people did know that something terrible happened to her daughter and when the sheriff's car actually pulled up at her door. That was very painful for her, because for 4 hours or so, she spent a lot of time trying to mentally trick herself into believing that Kaylee was fine, only for it to turn out that she was not. And I definitely agree that the police, the local, whoever it was, somebody screwed up there for sure. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Madeline, I could see that perspective there. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, Kazchik, I think you're right. You know, in so many situations, so many extreme situations, we truly do not know how we're going to respond. And that is in itself, you know, for our own, you know, insane drive to protect our own lives. It's that element of surprise where the sympathetic nervous system takes over and chooses our response for us, that we often save our own lives frequently without even knowing that that's what happened. So yes. Oh my God. Yeah, if the girls were doing something legal out of that house, they would be prime targets for a home invasion. Yeah, I mean, any place, anywhere where that's going on and people smell money and maybe something that they're, you know, really jonesing for themselves. Absolutely it is. Hi, Mary. How are you doing? Let's see. I once peed in a closet because I was so scared. I've done things like that a couple occasions, yes. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Kim Ott, this will forever bother me, says the coroner also said everyone was sleeping too. That coroner, I think, you know, this channel's just kind of decided that coroner's just got to go. She was unprofessional, inappropriate, irresponsible, and lacking sensibility in a lot of things that she said and did. That was just not excusable. Yeah, Hot Ham Radio says we truly don't know DM, and that's one reason that we are all fascinated. Absolutely. Yes, and I think to this point, I think that, you know, with the people that know her saying that maybe there was a little bit of like insecurity. Yeah, you know. Mm, they did not tow the cars for 17 days. Yeah, I've heard antics like this too, that Dylan had PTSD from an incident that occurred when she was younger. Yeah. I mean, you know, a person's psychological profile in as it relates to how you're going to respond to anything in life is so complicated, you know. So I wouldn't even know what to make of that. Yeah. So regarding this, a little more detail on that. So I mean, spoiler alert, they also do not have the answer. If they did, I think it would have been shared by now through our correspondence and conversations. I'm quite sure that they truly don't have the answer as to why so much time passed between when one of the surviving roommates saw the perpetrator and when 911 was called. You know, they feel 100% certain, and what they feel certain about. I mean, like with, like the most certainty a person could have. And the things that they do not have certainty on, they're very clear that they just don't know. So they have great certainty that, people were not called like hours before the 911 called, or even an hour before 911 was called, that would indicate a situation where all these people knew that all these students were murdered and nobody had called the authorities yet. That did not happen according to them. That is total fiction. Like nothing like that happened. Things started to happen very fast as the time was approaching when the 911 call was actually made. And, we discussed the fact when, you're going through a situation in life that is like that shocking, time sometimes will sort of stand still for you. So it's probably likely that people involved are not going to have an accurate recollection of the passage of time down to minutes or seconds for sure. But they feel very strongly that all of this talk, and they feel that there's this push this force content out there to say that some students were contacted much earlier in the morning and they knew that these students had all been murdered. That is absolute bullshit. They think there's an agenda behind it. It's really like gnawing at their souls. They can't take it anymore. And I guess it's not just these two people. It's like everyone, who goes to school there, who actually knew these victims. There's this like, increasing sense of, absolute discomfort and inability to tolerate all of this kind of crap that, like YouTube channels are responsible for in part. And there's more that'll be said about that, but that's kind of like the first message on that. That Dylan isn't this like, evil, like conniving, like transgender sex pot or what I know. People have called her all kinds of things. She's a very sweet, kind of insecure, just kind person who's not sinister at all, but yes, has, made some bad decisions, like, that's all about that right now. And yes, there were things going on in that house, absolutely, positively, 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt that, people felt very nervous about at times, but sometimes not, because, they're college kids and they think that they're invincible. But when, they are having a moment of sensibility that people were a little uncomfortable with and that had pretty hefty consequences attached to them, if they didn't keep some certain things under wraps or hidden. So what they don't know is, does that explain, that 8 hours between when one of the roommates saw Koberger and the 911 call was made? They're just not clear on that. They're speculating on that themselves. Yeah, Truth and Transparency is a friend of the channel. Yeah. I haven't actually been watching her too much lately, just because I know she's done like a ton, like really great stuff with this case, and like a lot of people are watching her to get information on this case, and she's doing a lot of hard work. It's, again, nothing personal. I just haven't been watching her lately, because I haven't been watching really anyone lately, unless I'm digging for information to find out if something's true or not. Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice, Brandy. Yes, we are. I think there's some, I've heard people say that, and I definitely, feel that way with family members, like, or my friends. It's like, oh my God, like people I'm really close with have no idea. Like, I even have this YouTube channel that I spend a lot of time working on, because they just like don't give a shit about this stuff. They don't want to hear about it. They're not interested in it. They give me a funny look when I start talking about it. Sometimes they think that means there's like something wrong with me. Like I need to rethink my life or whatever. I'm sure you guys relate, right? Yeah. So we all get each other here. We're all obsessed together. Oh boy. I don't know about that. I haven't heard that. per se about the boyfriend. Hmm. Okay, well, this is a good question. So this is another thing. And then I think I'm going to kind of like end new topics after this because there's a lot more to talk about. And some things having to do with the relationships between the roommates. And a couple things about Xana and Ethan, none of which are terrible or anything. They're just, I think, extremely surprising. But wait, what do we say here? So I wonder how much the parents that were arrested for substances are involved. That's another thing that there seems to be a very strong opinion on. The parents that got in trouble with the law for these things basically didn't have relationships with the kids for like years at a time. And the two children who had parents that were in that situation, who were Maddie and Xana, were, they weren't, they knew that people knew about some of the personal family stuff that was going on. And like, there was a kind of okay. I'm sure they didn't feel 100% okay with it, but it was something that was discussed. It wasn't like something they felt they needed to keep hidden from the world, but they could not imagine any kind of a reality or a scenario where what the parents have done and the big mistakes, it sounds like at least one of them has made like really big mistakes. They just can't imagine how that would even be involved in this situation. Because the relationship between mother and daughter just like didn't exist for a very long time. Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree with that, but what would I know? It just doesn't make sense to me, but. Yeah, freaking man butt, coroner Esquire, ew. Oh, God. Get him something straight. Let's see. Okay, Lala says, let's see. Kelly, has anyone spoken on Dylan's friend that claims she wanted him to set some things straight 3 weeks ago? I don't know if that's a real person or not, honestly. The jury, as far as people that I have confirmed actually know her and were close to everybody who lived in that house. As far as I know, and I'm actually sending a text message right now to see if I can get more information on that, but I don't think that they're clear if that's a real person or not. Does that make sense? I just found out in the last couple of days that apparently there's people going on all kinds of channels claiming that they are, friends with the surviving roommates or whatever. And they have all these things to say, guys. I mean, I don't know because I don't know everything, but having talked to these people for over 2 months now, just these two people, but just having experiencing them kind of going through this grieving process and explaining how everybody else in that community is going through this grieving process and understanding the heaviness of what that has been like. And then hearing some of these people going on channels claiming that they're good friends with one of their surviving roommates. And again, they have all this stuff to say. I don't buy it for a freaking hot second. That's, I know. I don't know who the people are. I don't remember who the channels were. I didn't get names or anything. It passed by my radar. I entertained it, and no, it's just not real. Oh, yeah. So let's see. Busted Flesh says, I'm telling you, Daily Mail is watching Truth and Transparency. I'm laying in bed, blown away what Lana just showed us. Next day, Daily Mail. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, she's really been like breaking news with this case. Absolutely. I'm sure a lot of people are watching her. So one person had $50,000 worth of substance missing. This could be who had $50,000 worth of stuff missing. See, these are, I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel like my tone just sounded poor with you, Protected Heart. It's not you. There's so many things that are said. I don't know. Yeah, that's true too. Chains no more. Oh, it's 100% Molly. That's for sure. I mean, that's verified. That's signed, sealed, delivered. If you guys didn't catch that already, yeah, I'm 100% sure of that. And it was a decent amount. Oh, you're saying it was that much that was missing? Oh, okay. Well, that would make more of a connection for me then. Hey, Muck Boys, how you doing? That is a little presumptuous, Mr. Brian. She was climbing on him. Well, people can want to climb on other human beings for reasons other than being under the influence of Molly, right? I mean, come on now. Oh, gosh. Oh, just Larry. How's it going, my friend? Nice to see you. You mean that Muck Boys has good judgment, just Larry? Oh, my gosh. Did I ever say who was... No, I have not said that, and I'm not going to say it tonight for sure. That's not for me to say at this point for sure. Did they just approach me to give me this information? No, it wasn't like that at all. It was actually before I was even covering any material on this case, and I was just trying to find out some information about it. I had some very specific questions based on some things I heard, people commonly saying that just didn't sound right for me. And they just bothered me because they felt like they were going down this crazy path of speculation, unfounded speculation, where I think we kind of are at right now. So I reached out to a total of 3 people because they had it was clear they had specific knowledge of things that I really wanted to know more about, because I knew I was going to be doing some content on this case. I wasn't sure though, because it was just one of these horrible tragedies that make me feel sick. Like, I don't know if I want to be talking about this all day long for many days. No. So I reached out to 3 people, all of them who did get back to me. And the one person I just ended up continuing to correspond with, and then another friend as well. So that's how it ended up being 2 people. They didn't contact me with it. I wish people just contact me with like good information. Heck, that'd be amazing. Yeah, fentanyl's no good. Yeah. Oh, hey, Just Larry. That's a very high compliment. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Who is Molly? Molly, are you asking that for real? Because I'm not going to risk pissing off YouTube. Okay, Muck Boys. Check out what Muck Boys said. Kelly, go back and watch. Go back and watch what? Vague instructions like that do me no good, Brian. Let's see. You only have oh yeah, I know you're right. There have been a lot of death of very young, who you would imagine would be very healthy young people in that area. I know. Yep. Thank you, Gregory. I appreciate that. Yeah. No, I'm not a speculation. I'm not a high speculation channel. I feel like as a channel creator, it's my responsibility to, I don't know. What I want to present is a good conversation and discussion, some thought-provoking material, some, extra bonus information when I am lucky enough to have access to it, like I do a little bit right now, because I have cultivated this relationship with these 2 people over the past over 2 months. And I'm quite sure I didn't even mention their existence until like a few weeks ago, because I just really respect it. And whatever, that's just like how it is. But yeah, I want to be able to provide people information that they can rely on, and not like spend time watching this channel and, you know, actually believing what I throw out here, and then later being like, oh my God, that motherfucker, I actually believed her. Can you freaking believe that? What was she doing anyway? Was she just telling people that for like clicks and views? You know, no. So yeah, I'm definitely not like, I can't, that's not like acceptable to me. So yeah. Hi, Tracy Wheeler. If I said hello to you, I'm sorry if I have not. Hi, Poet Streams. How are you doing? Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and this is a very important question. Could anyone have been saved if 911 was called immediately? You know, yeah. I mean, I think that is the most important question. According to the coroner, who I don't believe anything she says, even if 911 was called, no one could have been saved. I said this earlier, and I'll say it again with this disclaimer that obviously I do not know this. There's no way I could know this to say it in a way where I'm like, hey, yeah, I actually know the answer to that question, and here it is, okay? But a conversation I've had a few times with a source who does have more field specific knowledge, believes that one of them could have into, I feel creepy even talking about this, but possibly one, from what I understand. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know if that's accurate though. And that's kind of, I don't even, I wish I didn't say that. I don't even like putting that out there because there's victims' families. I don't know. Oh, thank you for the super sticker, Sadie. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And welcome. I don't know if I even said hello to you. Bo Burrell. Welcome. How are you doing? I was just reading your comment. So no, I'm not gonna, I can't read that out loud though, because YouTube will hate me. Yeah, totally. Columbia and Bam Bam, absolutely possible. Oh goodness. She was crawling on him and climbing on him. No, I think there was an accurate description on Brian. Bobby, are Molly and ecstasy the same thing? Not technically chemically, but very similar, and very similar in physiological effect. Do I say that from experience? Of course I do. I went to college once too. Except I don't think there was Molly per se when I was in college. I think it was just, anyway, YouTube's really going to hate me for talking about this. Oh boy. Right, exactly, Tracy Wheeler. I'm just joking. You got me. Yes, no, it definitely is a real thing. Yeah, I mean, and fentanyl is just a whole different beast. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did read that. Yes. It's tears for 8 hours. Yes. Yes, I know. Yep. Yeah, if anyone feels like they need to cry it out. So Brandy's Muscadine Wine, Time and True Crime, did I say that correctly? Says, and to see how far Xana had come and where she was headed in her life, Despite it all, she had plans, major ones. Curious if anyone has read the story, Rees Anna's Shoes, Tears for Hours. I'm starting to cry just reading your comment. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lala HK accurately points out, Kelly, these true crime streets have raised you to be wary of your own wording. Touche. That is an accurate statement. Meaning YouTube censorship. Yeah, no, that YouTube's really been, yeah. I mean, it's like the only choice, or I would be on a different platform for 100% sure. They've not been good to me lately. And it's arbitrary and baseless and just like, I don't know, YouTube's just it's a weird phenomenon. Let's see. All right, let me just look at my little notes here because I'm going to have to get going soon, but I just need to see if there's anything else I need to like kind of lay the foundation for so we can move on. So I'm planning to do at least 2 more videos where the next one we're going to go further into things that you probably that most of us are not aware of at all more quickly. And then there will be at least another one because we do have an endpoint of information, not an endpoint necessarily, but we do have a goal of certain pieces of information that they want to get out there and share with the world and whoever's listening. And, if I can help them get to a bigger platform so they can get their message out to more people, I will happily do that. But so there'll be at least 2 more installments. But again, I think everyone involved felt it was really important to kind of just set the record straight, try to, you can't like squeeze toothpaste back into the tube, right? But just try to, dispel whatever like, trashy, not true lies that are lingering out there and hopefully reel people in a little with the speculation. Because guys, there's one thing I have learned, the speculation that we do here. And I think there has to be a limit where you have to say, okay, the victims' families and loved ones, they need to be responsible for themselves and eventually walk away from it. Rusick family, who I admire and feel for and pray for and wish no harm upon them. But, there comes a point where, come on, man, you just got to stay away from YouTube. But in situations like this, where this tragedy and this pain is so new for these people, and this is something that they are every moment of every day very aware of, that they're going to have to live with this pain for the rest of their lives. And how does one go on doing that, right? So something that I have really learned in a different way than I understood it 2 months ago is that some of what I am going to stand by calling irresponsible and reckless speculation that we do on YouTube channels, even on this channel, can be very hurtful in real life to some people who are already in dire straits and in a desperate amount of pain, to the point where they're the people that we should be, caring for most, because all life is precious and we don't want for any more lives to be lost senselessly, right? So, yeah. So I, as well as the 2 people who were good friends with Ethan and his brother and knew all of the victims, felt like it was the responsible thing to do, to just, for whoever's listening, try to like kind of like set things straight a little bit and hopefully knock some sense into like validation, boy. And I'm just kidding. I'm not, but I am. So, and Gregory Hoffman, I know you just get nervous. It's all good. You'll come back to your senses. It's okay. It's okay. We're here. We're here. Oh my God. Yeah. So this is actually something that I started making a video about, and just, and I'm going to finish it totally separate from what I've been talking about today or what I talk about with these two fraternity guys. But Bev Neal says, weren't the two sororities the girls had belonged to? Kaylee had dropped out of hers on probation for consumption of alcohol. Yep, they were. That is a fact. I verified it with the university. But I've got to tell you this. I don't know if you know this about me, but I am a Delta, Delta, Delta. Can I help you, help you, help you? Try Delta. And the university I went to was like a huge Greek university. And this is not an uncommon thing. I remember when I, went through Rush and all that, there were two sororities at my school who were likewise on probation for, I think it was alcohol. It may have even been alcohol and other things. I just don't remember clearly. But the people in those sororities weren't, more reckless, careless, whatever people. They weren't even more badass. It just so happened that certain people in those sororities got caught, if this is how you want to look at it, by the wrong people doing the wrong things. And universities do have a responsibility to keep their Greek organizations under control, because it is the nature of, college age students when they all get together, and then they all get together with the opposite sex even. Oh, imagine that. And then you add, substances that you may not be used to experiencing, or maybe you do. The nature of things is to get out of control. So if universities allow for there to be a sanctioned Greek system, which does have a lot of benefit to universities, guess how? Financially. They also have a responsibility to make sure that those things just don't go like totally batshit crazy, because that's what they will do given all of those factors when left to their own devices. Did you know the human brain does not stop developing until we are at least 25 or 26 years old? So in a way, we are very much talking about children, taking substances that they may or may not understand. Once they ingest them, they are not going to have control over their faculties the way that they are used to having. And, they just, the part of your brain that is responsible for making sound decisions is the last part of the brain that fully matures. And that ain't happening for these people for another few years. So I don't find that to be a huge deal. There was a long-winded answer to say, I don't find it to be a huge deal personally that a couple of the sororities were not in good standing with the university. I find that to be kind of like normal Greek university administration, the games that they play. Yeah, no, I mean, I get you. I get you about you'll keep respect for whatever, I get it. I think it's Einen Harsh. Oh, good. Can you please take my friend Brian Hoffman with you, and you guys can talk about that, because he needs you, feminine. I've got to say, I haven't really commented on it just because it wasn't on my agenda for tonight. I did have an agenda that I felt like I had a responsibility to other people, so I didn't want to get too caught up. I mean, he's a strange bird. I definitely have questions about that dude. Is he just a really strange guy who might even be a kind of a creepy ass guy, who might even kind of be a bad guy, who just happened to be around a really, really bad, terrible thing, and therefore it brought more attention to him? Or does he have a deeper connection? I do not know. I don't know anyone that has the answer to that one. That's for 100% sure. Well, tox screens I do think would be valuable. I mean, I know my friend Kathy Mambut, the coroner / defense attorney, no, she's a defense attorney, right? Yeah. Said before the tox screenings were even back that the toxicology screenings were going to be irrelevant. I guess I can understand what she maybe was saying, if she even knew what she was saying, insofar as the nature of the the fatal wounds was so egregious. It's almost like, no matter what you had in your system, that was going to be a cause of death. But I don't know if toxicology screenings or results in the case of a homicide or unattended death are really ever irrelevant. And I certainly do have a strong opinion that is completely irresponsible for a coroner to say that before the toxicology, lab work is even fully processed. So. A warrant can sort out who was notified and when. Do you mean, can you clarify that statement? Because I'm interested in what exactly you're saying there. Welcome, John Doe. John Doe says, excuse me, the murders did not occur in Dylan's room. Dylan did not witness any crime. Therefore, she has no legit reason to call 911. So I think Dylan did not, as far as we know, she did not witness any crime. I'm not saying that she did. As far as we know, she did not witness any violence done towards any of the victims. She may have witnessed other crimes that evening, but I don't even know if they're relevant. But therefore, she had no legit reason to call 911. I think I very strongly disagree with that statement. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. The way I feel about it is, if I have any reason to suspect that, somebody in my home might be in any kind of distress or jeopardy, or God forbid, there might be a threat to their well-being or life itself, I personally feel a responsibility to do not just due diligence, but do whatever I can to make sure that that is not the case. And I am being irrational and that they are okay. But that's just me. I mean, yeah. See, is that Ara? Did I just see Ara? If I did, welcome Ara. Hey, how are you doing? Sake for life. Are you a sake for life? Or are you just saying that's like one of their sayings? Oh, that's great. That's awesome. That's amazing. Congratulations. I'm sure that's been hard work at times. That's really great. Oh, yeah. Awesome. That's great. That's pretty badass. And I think some other people are saying that as well. So that's awesome, guys. Oh, yep. Yeah. Good advice. Maggie says, hi, Maggie, how are you doing? Says, TM knew exactly what was going on. She was directly traffic. What? You mean she was in, I'm not sure what you're saying there. Oh my God. I've had experiences like that too, Carol. Well, I mean, are we being presumptuous in saying that Einan Harsh fits the profile of a killer more so than Koberger in many ways? I mean, I'd like to know more about that. He did involve himself, but there are a lot of people that insert themselves into situations that have nothing to do with them and they know nothing about, just to, fill that void that I don't understand, you don't understand, and they themselves don't understand. People are weird, right? So one of the big takeaways from tonight's live stream, Brian and everyone else, is she was not up at 8 a.m. calling people. And the fact that there are people out there actively trying to make people, the public, believe that is really pissing a lot of people off, who, in the University of Idaho community, from what I understand. I forget all the allegedly. The Lala says, Kelly, if you were to say allegedly, like before and after after your thoughts, you'll be good to go. Yeah, allegedly I would be. I don't know about that though, because it's all alleged, if you ask me, allegedly. Oh. Wood had with the Kim lady. That was another one of the takeaways. And it's nothing personal, that person or the channels that she was on, but that was one of the main messages, that these two people who are friends with Ethan and his fraternity want to get out to people that, and I don't think it's anything personal with her either. It's just, they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that what she said several times on several YouTube channels and, said was, kind of like, given the nod by the FBI and a few other things I really, really do not believe. She was presenting this narrative to people like this is the God's honest, factual truth that you should now replace reality with, because I'm telling you, this is so. And I believe the people that I have spoken with, that I at least believe that they, with every fiber of their being, believe that what she is saying is completely not true. And they also are very open about saying they believe that she is coming out with this information with malicious and or selfish, just malevolent intentions. Yeah, and I believe them, and I don't believe that students knew hours earlier than when the 911 call was made. So. Yeah, cuckoo. Yeah, something like that. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Is this true? I heard suspect tried to friend DM victims on Instagram. I heard that too. And I personally believe that that's true. I try to verify it. I don't think it's possible to verify, to be honest, because there's so many copycat accounts. I just believe it to be true. And I don't even have a good reason to tell you that's what I just believe it. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I believe because it makes sense to me based on the other things I believe, because there's hard evidence that informs me that I should think that way. Yeah, exactly. Ara says it was irresponsible for that Kim stuff to come out like that. Yeah, I think, yes, it was definitely irresponsible. And it's, like I said, one thing I've learned are things that we talk about here can have a real and serious impact on people that we should be taking care of right now, because they're going through more pain than any human being should ever have to endure. And it, from what I understand, the things that she said, that possibly for just purely out of selfish motivation, has been one of the primary causes of additional unbearable pain for some people who lost people that they loved very much. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I think this is a strong possibility, Bo. Well, I don't know. So Protected Heart says she just basically told us what you told us, a little more dramatic, which I would be too if I had kids there. I don't know. I think I would want to actually show more responsibility because I had kids there. But I don't think it was just more dramatic. I think it was factually incorrect. And yeah, I know. I think it was more than just more dramatic. Yeah, it definitely was more dramatic. Yeah. Because Einan is the first person I believe. I don't. We'll talk more about. I can't say like a couple of things that I want to say, not just because it's like, oh, I can't say that yet. A couple of the things that are in my head right now that I want to say to try to have the discussion. I honestly am just not 100% sure on, so I don't want to say anything to confuse this matter even more. Because obviously, we don't need more confusion here. But yeah, well, I would like to return to the conversation when I'm feel more certain that I am helping to straighten things out rather than cause more confusion, because that's exactly what I want to do. Yep, towards the sliding glass. Yep, that's right. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there is danger there. Any mom would be worried, absolutely. But I don't know. I don't know. I just feel I can't in good conscience say that it's the same set of facts that I have relayed to you, but just more dramatic because she's a parent. I just don't think that that's the case. You know what? And you might be 100. That's definitely crossed my mind more than once. And yeah, I think it's very possible. I think that they are aware that that's possible too. Yeah. All right, my darling, we had this conversation like a couple hours back. You'll have to rewatch. But yes, totally. So, okay, guys, I'm going to end this here. Because I said it was going to not be over an hour and a half, but look, we're at 2 hours, but I did pretty good. But more to come, more to come. If anyone has any questions about anything we discussed, particularly in what these guys want to be relayed, is information they feel is important, definitely email me at watsobsession@gmail. And I would like to make sure that I clarify things or give them a chance to clarify things or however they want to proceed. I'm not feeling any ownership of these people. I actually want them to have as large a platform as they can find if that's what they want. So if you have any suggestions, do let me know. Yes, Brian, we do need those toxicology reports. Oh, hey, thank you. Oops. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And hi, Cecile. I don't even think I saw or said hello to you yet. I always love it when you're here. I do know I always tell you that, though. Oh, gosh. Oh, awesome. Red Librarian, all the way from California. Do you know I've never been to California? I have been all over the world. I live in New York now, and I've never been to California, except for when I was getting on a plane to continue on to, somewhere in Hawaii. Night Chick, thanks for being here. I don't know. If I ever had the opportunity to speak with Kim personally, I would really love to do that. I would definitely have some questions. I would, but I mean, she certainly doesn't owe me any answers or anyone any answers, but I would definitely be open to having a conversation with her and trying to clarify some of the details she's put out there. But my opinion still remains that I wouldn't feel comfortable, I don't know, putting that information out there on my channel as though it's just acceptable information without some further steps that I feel I would need to take. That's all. Oh, Northern California, True Seeker. I think I knew that about you somehow. Oh, yes. Thank you, Utter. And thank you so much, moderators, members, subscribers, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, and please do hit the like on your way out, especially since YouTube is beating me over the head. I don't have it planned yet. I'm thinking probably Saturday. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I don't know. I don't know about this whole thing with the communication with the FBI. And even if those transactions of communication were happening, the content of the interactions is not clear. I don't know. I am handling everything with, I don't know, I'm using the highest standard of validation of all facts and circumstances here because I just feel like that's what was required. I think things have gone too far with carelessness and speculation. I think that harm has been needlessly caused to people who are already in a lot of pain. I don't think a lot of people do that intentionally, for sure. I don't think that, but I just feel like I have a high awareness of all of that right now. And, I just, you know how I feel. My chosen path is to maintain a very high standard of validating anything before I say anything even close to, oh yeah, I vetted that. I validated this. This is, that's just where I'm at. So awesome. All right, everyone, be safe. Have an awesome night. And thank you so much for being here. And I will definitely during the day, sometime tomorrow. And again, I'm in New York, so that's the time zone, schedule the next live stream, which I'm thinking will probably be Saturday, possibly Sunday or Monday, but probably Saturday. That's the best I can tell you right now, though. So, all right. Love you guys. Again, be safe. And thanks for being here. And we'll see you soon. Let's see. What shall I play you on your way out? Maybe I shall play you nothing because my mouse is not working. Oh, there we go.
There are more answers than you know.
just super quick. If anybody doesn't get notifications of upcoming things going on in this channel anymore, please feel free to email me at WhatsApp I'm putting in chat right now. I do try to send out an email to, I don't know, there's like 100 so people, 150 people on the list right now. But just if anybody doesn't get notifications, just send me your email and I'll just pop you on the list. And then you'll hopefully get an email. I think I send one out most times. But it'll be better than just trying to leave it up to YouTube because they're failing at that too. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, StreamYard. All right, that's all.
There are more answers than you know.
Each had multiple stab wounds. Some had defensive wounds, showing they fought with the attacker. And there was no sexual assault. County Coroner Kathy Mabbutt is describing the murders as personal.